Welcome to the Scoop with Dukes. I'm your host, Philip Dukes, aka Dukes D Scoop. Check me out on Twitter and Instagram at Dukes D Scoop. And please be sure to hit the like and subscribe button. This is the AU Scoop, and today we are going to talk about the scrimmage. Everybody in Auburn is talking about the scrimmage. The Friday scrimmage, the one where I thought last week was going to be the scrimmage where the offense took another step. I thought that based on some of the things that I had heard and just reading the tea leaves, that the offense would pretty much dominate the defense. Well, that didn't happen. When you go look at all the accounts of what happened, and you've got plenty of information out there, and just so people know, like when I go in with my intel, when nobody like I try to go when there's not media availability, so you can't go get it. So I can try to fill in the gaps because the guys in Auburn do such a good job. So on three had plenty. Shout out to Hope. Hope had really good stuff yesterday. Jason Caldwell, the OG, he had plenty of good stuff yesterday. So if you're a member of On Three and 24/7, you already know pretty much what happened in the scrimmage. I can confirm a lot of that. I got a few other notes from that scrimmage that I didn't see out there, but for the most part, I felt like people get things a little bit differently depending on their sources, right? And I know there's a source that talks to pretty much everybody that I talk to as well. There's another source that doesn't talk to as many people, and these are guys on staff. There are a few guys you can go to talk to, and I can kind of tell who said what. And I try to talk to multiple people because I'll go back and read it, and I say, okay, I know where he got that from, or I see another one. I say, okay, I know where that came from. And then sometimes when it's universal, it's the same thing. So I saw different reports about how people view Jackson Arnold's performance in the scrimmage. Now, the way I heard it, not mind blowing, but very serviceable. Not, oh my goodness, he's going to win a Heisman, but not, oh my goodness, he's a 3-win quarterback. I think a lot of what Jackson Arnold's and I asked multiple sources, and a lot of what Jackson Arnold hasn't been able to do that people would like him to do. Some of it is based in the play calling. If you saw Coach Freeze getting on to Jackson the other day, and people were like, "Oh man, that must mean he's doing horrible." He wants him to get the ball out faster. There are some people who want Jackson Arnold to take more shots because it'll keep the defense honest. But Coach Freeze is like, "Look, just keep getting first downs until there's no more first downs to get. I'll tell you when to take a shot, or it'll be dialed up for you to take a shot, or you tell us when to take a shot. But let's run the offense. The offense will work. It's worked year after year after year. So I've got, this is Coach Freeze speaking, of course. Got plenty of data points saying that this offense works. Just run the offense. When you've got receivers that can get downfield, of course, people on the outside looking in are thinking, who may not be in Coach Freeze's mindset, maybe thinking like, well, you could take more shots downfield. But when it comes to Coach Freeze, I think what the biggest takeaway has to be that he wants Jackson to be on time, on schedule, and get the ball in your playmaker's hands as quick as possible. You don't have to have an 80-yard touchdown and the ball travels 60 yards in the air. You can get those same yards and still control some clock and set the defense up for different things. Now, with that being said, do I think that this is an offense that's a 30, 32, 33-point offense? I don't think so. I think this offense is an offense that can score some points, but I don't think this is the offense is going to be the strength of this team. This was the week that you were going to know if you were going to have a juggernaut on your hands. Now, do I think they could get hot and run it up? Yeah, for sure. But the strength of this defense, the strength of this team is probably going to be the defense. Just going off of fall, and I know in the past I said, hey, look, and I've been, and if you go look at everybody's notes, you even go look at what Coach Freeze said. I'm not saying I've been perfect my whole career. No, I know I missed on Bo Hughley in 2022, and I know I even saw on 3 where somebody said he's just talking about Jackson Arnold because he doesn't like crackers in his soup. This is a real quote from somebody on 3 message board, and shout out to them, man. But they thought that I was saying the things that I was saying about Jackson Arnold because I was racist, and I'm like, bro, no, I'm just telling you what I really heard from a pretty good source, from pretty good sources. And now that Coach Freeze is kind of corroborating that, like, yeah, not me personally, but just saying, like, there's some things to be left desired by Jackson. And he wants him, they're wants him to get rid of the ball, and holding the ball too long was a real thing. So this could be twofold. Holding the ball too long can, one, mean that you're looking for something deeper, which I think could be a positive thing the way you look at it. And two, it can also be a byproduct of fall camp. Now, Coach Freeze ain't happy about it, we know. But I think Jackson Arnold will be able to get the ball out, right? When you don't have you're not going up against Jay Crawford and Ken Lee every week. Like, I'm not saying, you won't see good corners or a good corner duo, but it don't get a whole lot better than those two. And if you want to add Champ Anthony to the slot, or if you want to add Rayshawn Pleasant, or if you want to add Rayon Strader, like, it doesn't get that much better against the competition. So they've got the offense does have their hands full. I made a point last week, if you've been following, I made a point to say that the defense is going to have more familiarity, and that the defense was scheming for the offense, and the offense wasn't as scheming as much for the defense in camp. And Coach Freeze comes out and he says, "Now, I said this a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, almost, really maybe about a week ago, week and a half, somewhere in there." But Coach Freeze comes out and says in his press conference, or not a press conference, but when he's talking to the media, he's saying Coach Durkin may send a brand new blitz that the offensive line isn't ready for. So I'm taking all of this into account. And you look at the scrimmage notes, you see that they talked about how good of a day Keyron Crawford and how good of a day Keldrick Falk had. I heard Amars Williams had a heck of a day, and that came from Hope. I think Hope had that note. I heard a lot about Amars Williams over the past day or so. And this is another thing that I want to say I want people to take into consideration. Jackson Arnold is a much better runner than people give him credit for. Now, even though the defensive line was dominant, the whistle blows when the defensive line gets into the backfield, regardless. Play dead. There's no opportunity once you get, and there's no opportunity to bail at that point. There's no opportunity to make a play. You can two-hand touch. Think about this. Two-hand touch wide receivers, right? Cam Coleman, open field. Bryce Kane, open field. All you got to do is get two hands on them. Some of this stuff is really geared toward the defense in some instances. So I think that, they talk about the lack of offensive scoring and how bad that can be and how bad of an omen it is. But there are some, you take some of the playmaking away for the sake of safety, and I think you got to do that in fall camp. Some guys that I heard had some really good fall camps. Duke Smith, great fall camp. Going to be a ball player. Heard Duke Smith had a really good fall camp. Bryce Kane, nobody's talked about Bryce Kane, but Bryce Kane was as solid as anybody in fall camp. Probably the first, I don't think I've heard it from anybody a lot. I talked to somebody who talked to somebody on the offensive side. I talked to somebody on the defensive side. Just a numbers game. How hard is it when you've got Cam Coleman, Eric Singleton, Malcolm Simmons? That's just your first three out if you're going in 11 personnel. Then you got Horatio Fields, Perry Thompson, Sam Turner. There are a lot of guys to compete with, but you got to put Bryce Kane in that number. He in that second number, I think you're going to see Bryce Kane some this year for sure. And people have been asking about him, but he did have a good camp. Blake Woodby's another guy that I heard had a great camp. The one play in particular, the standout play, he had Perry Thompson had him lined up out on the perimeter, and Blake Woodby made a play where everybody thought that in space, Perry Thompson was just going to steamroll him. And he stood his ground and actually made the tackle. So shout out to my man Blake Woodby for playing bigger than his size. A lot of people thought that that size was going to be an issue, and I think in the future, yes, he could play the perimeter, but man, I think he would be so crazy in the slot. I think his NFL future is probably as a slot corner, which is a real position now. So slot corners are getting paid left and right. Deuce Knight had a count. You know, of course, I know people like, oh, Deuce always says Deuce Knight had a good, he's balling. He balled in camp. I mean, it's not make believe. I'm not pulling this out of out of the air. Definitely, Deuce Knight had a good camp. It's going to be finding his fit in the offense. You got a guy who can make the throws that he can. He can hit all the spots on the field that he can. This offense is to get the ball out fast. It's not really as much as about those downfield throws. So we'll see how he kind of meshes with the offense going forward. And do you change the offense a little bit to get to Deuce's skills and what you have around you? I think there could be some redistribution of play scripts or plays or just even a mindset when Deuce Knight becomes the quarterback. I think you just got to continue to recruit him, even though like in this day and age, you got to continue to recruit him, right? And you got to show proof of concept. So this needs to work. Ashton Daniels didn't have a bad camp. Heard a lot of things about how athletic he is. I wouldn't say Robbie Ashford, but I would say, that type of running ability, which really keeps you on your toes. And there were times where his running ability and how fast he could get out of the pocket kept the defense honest. So when you have a guy with wheels like that, you don't have to have a 40-yard post down the field to keep people honest, because now they want to cheat up. They want to cheat up because they know that if they don't, this guy has the capability to take off and go get an 8 to 10-yard chunk easily. So I think the quarterback room will be okay. But the defense, once again, and another note, Deuce did get to alternate. I don't think we've talked since Monday when I had Deuce Knight going with the threes on back-to-back days. He did get some work with the twos. So he and Ashton are rotating the last I heard, which was Friday. So he did get some work with the twos. And but Deuce Knight, and this is part of the beauty of it. I know it may be rough for the guys in this situation, but part of the beauty of having a guy like Deuce Knight being able to go with the twos and the threes is that you get quality quarterback play to know what you have in the future, or to know what you even have right now, when you can rotate a guy like, you can have a rotation of Perry Thompson, Bryce Kane, Duke Smith. That rotation could play with the ones at a lot of schools. Those three. And you're getting the ball thrown from Deuce Knight. What a battery that is. Perry Thompson, Bryce Kane, Duke Smith. And I continue to hear Duke Smith is a specimen. Really, really freakish athlete, explosive. And like Malcolm Smith, I'm one of the guys who believe, like I heard today, Duke Smith is over 208, like 208, 209, 210, in that 208 to 210 range today. The boy was just in high school last year. 210, that size, freakish athlete. So something definitely to look forward to. And I think it could help retain a guy like Deuce Knight. If you do, I can't see a world where I feel like Deuce Knight will be happy about running with the threes if it ends up that way. But I think Auburn have to do a good job, selling him on the future and selling him on the offense and looking and say, hey, look, this is you next. This is your go round, and you're going to have these weapons. So I think it'll be fine, but just something to monitor going forward. Linebackers had another good day. I've been talking about the linebacker play. I've been excited about it, whether it's been Juice, Elijah Melendez, Xavier Atkins, DeMarcus Riddick. I really think that DeMarcus Riddick and Xavier Atkins are going to play a lot together, especially on passing downs. I think on passing downs you'll see a lot of Xavier Atkins and DeMarcus Riddick. I think, and I said that last time, but I think that still remains true. I think Elijah Melendez earned his way on the field as a true freshman. I believe Juice Diaz earned his way on the field as a true freshman. We'll see how much they actually play in sets, but I think these guys have to play. Robert Woodard, if anything, and Caleb Wheatland, if anything, steady, right? Not the explosion that you get out of DeMarcus Riddick and some of the younger guys, but when you need steady and heady play, I think that's where you want to go to in the linebacker room. In the secondary, anybody who's heard anything about camp knows that Jay Crawford has probably been far and away the best. He may have had the best camp of anybody. Jay Crawford with an amazing camp, whether it be being physical, working on his technique. A little a little banged up. Sat a good part of the scrimmage. I don't know if he sat the whole scrimmage, but I know he sat a good part of it. Had a lighter work week this week, a little banged up. So I need to confirm that, but I do know he got an extensive break in the scrimmage, so which allowed other people to shine a little bit in that secondary. But yeah, man, overall, and just to kind of recap some things, I don't think it's time to panic yet about that offense. All of this is hearsay. I don't care where you get it from. Me, on 3, 24/7, the War Report, Locked On Auburn, the next round. It does not matter. Weagle Radio, the Plainsmen, it does not matter. None of the perception, none of the stories, none of the sources, none of the intel matters until you go to Waco, Texas, and put it on the field. So I just want to caution everybody, even if you listen to my stuff, you really have to take all of this with a grain of salt. Now, people can say, oh, well, Duke should just say it now because he doesn't have real sources. I'm like, no, bro, I've been around this stuff so long. I've been around a program. Like, I literally been around a program for the past 20 years. I mean, I was a resident manager at Sewell Hall the D before it got torn down. Like, I've been around this a long time, and I know how Auburn fans can get. So for those Auburn fans who kind of like take everything like, oh my God, the sky's falling, let the sky fall first. You know, it like, because one thing about it, preparing yourself for offense or trying to get ahead of it by saying, oh, my offense isn't good, it ain't gonna make the offense no better. It's not gonna make it no worse. We just gotta watch it. I'm choosing to be on the side of wait and see. I think the offense can be successful. I really think that you've got good enough players, because at the end of the day, sometimes it comes down to what you have on the roster. And I just think with Aaron Singleton, the way that he was used at Georgia Tech, if you can mirror some of that, get him in some jet sweeps, get him on some short, get him in some mesh concept, and then use him over the top in the seam. I think that he opens up the whole offense with that type of speed. You got world-class speed. Cam Coleman, sometimes you can just say F it Cam down there somewhere because of how well he brings in contested catches, right? I mean, you can be long from the 18 in, you can throw a fade straight up. And I think Jackson Arnold is a better athlete, and I've said it all the time, but I think Jackson Arnold will be fine. I think his mobility you can see, but you really couldn't see you can see his mobility, but maybe not his escapability in fall camp because of the way they blow things dead. So I think, yes, the offense has some things that are left to be desired. You want to be able to feel good about your offense because Auburn hasn't felt good about offense, and I don't know when. Let's just keep it a buck. It's been a long time, a very long time, since you were like, we're putting up 35 today. I can't even think the last time. That's how long it's been. Maybe Jared Stidham and Kerryon Johnson. That's like the last time I felt like there was really. I don't even know if I got that combination right. That's how long it's been. You know, I'm getting old. It's been a long time since Auburn could put out an offensive juggernaut. So people are ready for it. And to be honest, people thought that's what Hugh Freeze was bringing. So this is the time it's put up and shut up. And I definitely think that this is the year that you really got to put up, and the offense has to be successful in order for it. You don't have to put up 35, but you got with that defense. I think if you get 24, you should win. If you get 24 and some decent time of possession with that defense, I think you'll be in most games. You should win more than you lose if you can get in that 24 to 28 range. If Auburn can stay in there, you get four touchdowns, you should win the game with that defense. So I don't think you have to have the end all be all, but man, it would be nice for Auburn just to return to the glory days. I remember when Man, how good was it a 13-14 with Trey Mason and those guys when they were just running up and down the field and you couldn't count how many times Auburn was going to score? It's been a while, man. Coach Freeze, if you hear this, man, we a lot of people in Auburn are counting on you, and shoot, man, let's get it done. All right, man, that's my time. Sorry for those looking for some doom and gloom, but go somewhere else for that. All right, man, I appreciate you guys, man. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. I'm out.